You're listening to Bizarre Buffet, a podcast of all-you-can-eat weird. I'm your host, Mark Torriello.
I'm Jen Wilson.
And I'm Mark Bluestein.
There'll be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
When we first went in, one of the people said, "Who are you?" And Tex said, "I'm the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's business."
Surrounding the death of Anna Nicole Smith today included details of her autopsy. The troubled former Playboy centerfold leaves a wake of speculation, litigation, and fascination, all evident today in equal measure.
Hello?
Hey.
Hey, guys.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going fine.
I know. I feel so beautified after our little makeover that we just did.
Oh my God. Jen Wilson brought over these luxurious eye peels.
They're like those gel eye patches that you put underneath your eyes.
Yes.
And it's like blue and translucent and glittery.
Oh, it's beautiful. I feel so young now.
It actually
Especially if
felt
you're,
nice.
yeah, and especially if you're somebody that suffers from bags under your eyes, you definitely should get them.
Yes.
I usually put them on at least twice a week.
Twice a week.
Yeah.
I think I should use them every night, honestly.
Listen, eye cream, the older I get now, I have to put eye cream on in the morning and at night.
Yes. I mean, I started using eye cream when I first started noticing lines in the corner of my eyes because I was like, oh no.
I just don't like that tired look. It's not even for me, wrinkles. It's just more I don't want to I hate when people say to me, "You look tired."
Oh my God. And first of all, what a shitty thing to say.
Yeah.
Say nothing. You can think that I look tired. Don't fucking tell me that, you asshole.
Look tired.
You look tired. But you and your mother look tired. Shut the fuck up.
I look exhausted.
You look like shit.
You look like shit today. God, what are you doing? Are you stressed out? Do you hate your life and your children? Oh, it shows in your face. Well, anyway.
Now that we're all beautiful.
Yeah, we're all beautiful.
Let's chat. What's our, before we go into our topic, what's our question?
I would really like to know, which celebrity death affected the both of you? Who do you remember dying that you were like,
God.
oh no?
So it's funny that you asked this because I literally, this is fresh in my mind because I was just having this conversation with my mom. For me, it was Robin Williams. Because we were watching Dead Poets Society the other night, which, by the way, that last scene in that movie just gets me all the fucking time.
Do you know I've never seen it?
You've never seen it?
No.
Oh,
Me too.
So good.
I know. I need to see it.
It's definitely a classic that you should watch.
Is it Mrs. Doubtfire worthy?
So he has a couple of moments, but it's definitely opposite of Mrs. Doubtfire.
Okay.
But I still to this day sometimes have a really difficult time watching his movies.
He was like America's sweetheart.
Yeah. And, I remember where I was when I heard about David Bowie passing, Heath Ledger. Yeah. And the thing, though, is Heath Ledger was an accidental overdose. David Bowie died of cancer, where it was Robin Williams, you sit there and you're he committed suicide.
Yeah.
So, to see him in these movies and he's so full of life and over the top, and then to sit there and know that he's no longer with us and why. Yeah. That's just...
I know.
That's the celebrity that's the hardest for me. And to this day, how long has it been since he died? 4 or 5 years ago?
God, yeah.
So still, I'll watch Mrs. Doubtfire and sometimes be oh, I don't know if I could do this.
I know,
it's so
hard.
sad.
He was such a lovable person.
He made the whole world laugh.
He did.
Mrs. Doubtfire is one of my favorite movies.
I know it
is.
is.
The Birdcage is one of mine.
The Birdcage is so good.
What about you, Mark? What's your celebrity death that...
Oh, well, I have a few, one most definitely was David Bowie, that was a big one. But, there's another that we're going to talk about tonight, but I want to know about yours.
Oh, I haven't felt 100% connected to a lot of celebrities that have passed away, but one that does make me sad is any of the Golden Girls.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because that's one of my favorite shows, and you want them to stay alive and stay golden forever, and when they pass away one by one, it's pretty sad. And now Betty White's the last one.
I remember where I was when I heard about B. Arthur.
Where were you?
It was freshman year of college. I was in an acting class.
Oh.
And the news came in somehow. Somebody like shared it with us.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Felt a little appropriate. Like,
Yeah, like considering where you were.
yeah.
Another one for me would be George Michael, because he was like my first celebrity crush.
Yes.
Oh.
Another one, and then we're gonna. I don't
No,
like.
it's okay. Go for it.
Another one for me, I think too, was just like Carrie Fisher, because then her and her mother like died within like, wasn't it weeks?
Yeah, it was really close together. I felt the worst for the daughter.
Oh my god! But she's doing so well with like.
She's
her
a good actor.
I love her in
She
American
is.
Horror
I think she's
Story.
fantastic.
She is a really great asset to American Horror Story.
Yep.
Yeah, Brian Murphy, you motherfucker.
I loved her in 1984?
1984.
Yeah.
So, Mark, why don't you tell us about, or should we just play the song for them?
Yeah, I think. Okay, everyone. I want you to sit down if you're standing up. If you're driving, pull over. If you're
We're gonna get emotional now.
yeah,
with this.
if you're petting an
Audio
animal, stop
tribute.
petting them. I want you to stop cooking if you're in the kitchen. Here we go. This is an emotional, very emotional moment. All right, is everybody ready?
Anna Nicole, born poor in Texas, struggling, saving, trying to get some
Emotional.
Then you used what you got, and that was a lot. You became a household name, married a billionaire. So he was 88, didn't all disappeared as fast as it came.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, sugar pie. Hi, sugar pie.
You're so outrageous.
And there you have it.
Aw.
There
You know,
have
she
it.
was probably like one of the first, her and the Osbournes were like the first two reality TV shows I was exposed to.
Yeah.
Because like,
absolutely.
I feel like I was a little too young for the real world.
I mean, you know,
But I also feel like too, some of Anna Nicole's stuff was a little too
yeah.
out there.
Yeah, I feel like the content of Anna Nicole was kind of like what Ozzy Osbourne was for the Osbournes, like in terms of like kind of like, oh, this is a lot for regular cable.
Yeah.
You know, but Anna Nicole was just like, you know, maxed out to 1,000 of that. She was like Ozzy Osbourne, but pretty. So
On steroids.
on
I
steroids.
also just can't get over the fact
And pills.
that
Yes, and pills.
as I was just like refreshing myself on Anna for this episode,
Mm-hmm.
that I came across, which I showed the both of you earlier, was the Anna Nicole opera that was done at the Royal Opera House in
Oh
London.
my God, that looked like an emotional moving piece.
Yes.
It truly did.
So if any of you are curious, you can go on YouTube and type in Anna Nicole Smith, the opera.
Yeah.
And it really is an opera.
It,
I had
yeah,
no
it
idea
is.
it existed till tonight.
I mean, that was one of those things I felt like I heard about in passing,
Mm-hmm.
but then when Jen brought it up, I was like, oh my God, wait, that's real?
Mm-hmm.
And then she confirmed for us that it was in fact real.
So should we talk kind of a little bit about like Anna Nicole Smith's background?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should.
Her biography.
But I think it's a name that people have heard, but
Yeah, but for those who maybe don't,
some of us might not be as
Aware.
familiar or aware.
for people who may not know, we now have new listeners to the show who are from Indonesia, Sri
Wow.
Lanka, South Africa, the Philippines.
These are some places I've always wanted to visit. So if you're listening, like, please invite us.
Yes.
I would love a place to stay.
Absolutely. And also Russia. And also,
I have a passport to go to Russia.
Oh my
I have
God.
a Russian visa.
okay, well,
I don't know if I should be like saying that out loud, but yes, I have a Russian visa,
no one steal Jen Wilson, please, in the trunk of your car.
and I'm not a spy.
And she's not a spy, but also Denmark and the Czech Republic. So,
Wow, okay.
yes. So for all of these new listeners, you know, we may have some people who don't know all about Anna Nicole. So
Yeah.
let's get into it.
So, okay, hi.
Hi.
I feel like I'm doing a eulogy for Anna Nicole Smith.
Oh, where's your breast implants?
Well, they popped. So, her like life story is really sad and very tragic. So I'm gonna bring it down a notch because
Okay.
you know I love to kill. I'm a killjoy. So she was born Vicky Lynn Hogan, which a lot of people might not know.
Yeah.
And she was born November 28th in 1967 in Houston, Texas.
Hi, Houston.
Howdy. And her mom had her at an early age in life, and I guess her mom just wasn't like financially stable, and she didn't have like a stable like father figure.
Right.
So growing up was most definitely challenging. She lacked a lot of privileges that people get.
Like many of us.
So when she got a little bit older, when she was in high school, she ended up living with her aunt in a town called Mejia.
Mejia.
Mexia.
Hi, Mejia.
Mejia, Texas. And she had a really hard time in high school because she was like, a little bit bigger. She was tall. I think she was like 5'11".
She was a tall woman.
She was a very tall woman.
She was curvy. She was, she wasn't really like feminine at the time and glammed up.
Yeah.
So everyone just made her life like a complete living hell. And she ended up dropping out of high school early. Upon dropping out, she started working in a chicken place, like a fast food. It's called
like
Jim's Crispy Fried Chicken.
Yeah, it was like a small owned KFC.
Oh, I actually never knew of that.
Yeah. Chicken.
She was a chicken girl.
She was a chicken girl.
And it was actually featured in the opening credits for the Anna Nicole show. Her little caricature was like in a little...
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Little
now I
fast
remember.
food outfit. So while she was working in this Jim's Crispy Fried Chicken place, she was a teenager, and that's where she had met Billy Wayne Smith, who was one of the cooks, and they fell in love, and she married him at 17.
Wow.
Soon after that, she popped out her first baby,
Danny.
who was Daniel Wayne Smith.
Or Daniel, sorry.
Yeah.
Daniel Wayne Smith.
Featured on the Anna Nicole show.
And unfortunately, he dies in 2007.
R.I.P. Daniel.
So, not making enough money, she ventured into being like a stripper at a local nightclub. Good for her. And
Yay, strippers. We love strippers.
I was watching a like 2020 interview, and she was like talking about how she got into it, and she was like, I was driving on the highway and I saw this sign, and it was like a stripper, and it was like neon blue and white, and it lit up, and I went in and I was like, oh, I got a job, and I was topless, and then she became a stripper. And we're not stripper shaming. Like,
No,
I would strip
actually,
if I had the body for it.
One of the many things that I enjoy and admire about her was that on this 2020 interview, she was being a real person and like sharing this, like, oh, hey, like this is just part of my life.
And then she met while she was stripping. Drum roll.
She met a billionaire who was like an oil
Tycoon.
Oh, daddy.
And she became like, I guess, one of his clients, or
Yeah.
he was one of her clients at the strip
Yeah.
club. So she would do dances for him. And eventually they fall in love and get married.
But
And
here's the kick.
tell me the kick.
That's her.
He was a lot older.
Yes, he was
I
like
mean,
90,
He was a
like in his
little bit
90s.
older.
and she was
That's
like
nothing. That's such a small age
she was
gap.
probably like 21 or 22.
Yeah.
She was in her early 20s. So fun fact, when she started stripping, she was actually really bad at it and it's sad because she was very insecure about her body.
Yeah.
So like she had a difficult time like getting into it. And then when she like saw she got like a $50 check one day, and she was like, $50 is so much money for me.
Yeah.
Back then. And I said, I'll be the sexiest person in the room. And
Yeah, she was like,
I
this
love
is the
that.
most money I've ever seen.
she meets
Howard J. Marshall.
and they start this like relationship together.
I get him and her attorney confused
Yeah.
all the time. Because isn't he Jay Howard?
He has a middle initial, Howard K. Stern.
Howard K.
Yeah.
Stern.
Oh,
Okay.
and he's and for all of you listening, just so you hang in for the rest of this episode, I want to give a small disclaimer. Part of this episode is conspiracy based. It has, facts in my mind, but not in the eyes of the world. But like, you can determine for yourself. So hang in there with us because we have some really interesting
It's
theories.
salacious.
So before we jump into it, I would love to just play a really quick clip when Larry King, R.I.P.,
R.I.P.
had
Larry.
Anna Nicole and Howard K. Stern on his show talking about the late J. Howard Marshall.
Yeah, let's hear it. Emotional music. I'm playing the piano for you.
There's just really
I saw
pictures of them.
a very sick man, someone that was just really, really sick and ailing.
Physically sick?
Physically ailing. And I just wanted to talk with him and see what...
You didn't
what he
feel
did.
attracted to him, or did
No,
you?
there was no physical attraction at all.
Ever? He was attracted to you.
I thought he was
Yes,
sexy.
he was very
How long
attracted
before
to
he
me.
asked you to marry him?
Within a week.
How did you react to that?
I was blown away. But he's the
You
sweetest.
refused.
I turned him down. I said that I had wanted to try to make something out of my life before.
Was it difficult to be
Shut
physical
up.
with someone that much older?
No.
Not at all.
Not at
Because
all.
I guess everyone imagined that, wouldn't you, Howard?
Not really. Not
No?
really. Not knowing my client, and not
Oh,
knowing
shut up,
where,
Howard.
Shut up, Howard.
Howard Marshall took her out of,
I don't like your
and
stuff.
knowing her now, the true love that they did have. So to me, it's not difficult to perceive. I think maybe before I had met her, I
You
would
would have
had,
perceived
yeah, I
it,
would
as the
have
audience
thought
would,
that.
yeah. Would you say you loved him?
I loved him very much.
No, without being in love, right? I mean, you weren't physically.
I wasn't physically, oh my God, you hot body, like that. It was just, I loved him for so much what he had did for me and my son. I mean, I just loved him. So I've never had love like that before. No one has ever loved me and done things for me and respected me and didn't care about what people said about me. I mean, he truly loved me, and I loved him for it.
He was kind.
He was very, very kind to me.
She's an icon.
Big, beautiful, buxom.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
They were talking about me in that last part. An icon, big, beautiful, buxom.
Yes, that is Mark Bluestein.
That's right. That was my interview. I'm embarrassed.
Oh my God.
All right, so now we know a little bit more with their salacious relationship.
Yes.
I remember, when I was younger, I think it just boggled my mind that that one could be in a relationship with someone that much older.
Mark could do it.
But here we go with the conspiracies. But do you think she really loved him, or it was for his money?
Okay, so here's where I know Mark and I have differing opinions and such. But for me, I think there was a love of sorts that,
I do too.
That developed.
I do agree with you on that.
You know, I do. I don't think it would have occurred, naturally. I don't think they would have become friends in any other scenario or whatever.
Right.
But I do think there was a care there, in my opinion.
What about you, Mark?
I think it's a little bit of both. So I think he provided her, with something she couldn't have, which was money, but also, kind of stability from an older male figure.
Yeah.
So I think that emotionally she did have a connection, and she did get something
Oh,
from
of
him
course.
that benefited her, internally, and then obviously she got money.
Financially.
But in turn, he got that connection with her. And I know recently his wife had passed away because she went to get a facelift or something, and she died during the facelift surgery.
Well, here's a funny thing. That woman who died during the facelift surgery wasn't his wife.
Oh,
No.
it was his mistress.
His mistress, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
His first wife had Alzheimer's, I believe.
right.
And he started seeing another, I guess, exotic dancer would be the appropriate wording.
Mm-hmm.
And she was an older woman, though. She wasn't like an Anna Nicole type. And she died during a quote unquote routine facelift surgery. And then that's when he met Anna Nicole a little while after.
So I think they both helped each other out, but it's easy to say that Anna Nicole Smith was a gold digger.
Of course.
Well, I also feel in her defense, and her upbringing and where she's from and how her story starts out, I'm sure that anyone who's in that situation, it's that's the kind of life that everyone like that would dream of.
Absolutely. And
I know I would.
hell yeah. And a lot, many people wouldn't get in that scenario.
She didn't have much of a choice. Like, she didn't have options.
No.
She didn't have privileges.
And also, I truly, here's the thing too. I think a big differentiating factor as well is that, this wasn't a plan for her.
Mm-hmm.
Her plan was to start stripping to make better money. I don't think she had this whole plan of like, oh, I'm going to meet some rich old man. Like, it just so happened to work out that way.
I also don't know necessarily if you go into stripping thinking that this is going to be a lifelong career for you.
Exactly. And if it is, Godspeed.
Power to you.
There you go. If you enjoy it or, whatever, do your thing.
And show me how to make some moves.
That's right.
So,
Make the heels clap.
So outside of the whole exotic dancing, she ended up submitting photos that she took with a photographer to Playboy. She got published in 1992. Jump-started her career. Like, she was on the cover of Playboy.
Yeah.
And she got signed on to be a guest model for their ad campaigns,
Mm-hmm.
which is a big deal because at the time, this was like the early 90s when that heroin chic look was in.
Yeah.
Where it was like
Kate Moss,
90 pounds and under.
Naomi Campbell, Heidi Klum.
Yeah, all of like the rail thin, dangerously thin.
Yeah.
Like.
And here's Anna Nicole Smith, who's like curvy, vivacious. She's like a blonde bombshell. And, she's like the polar opposite of what's going on in fashion. So that is what kind of, propelled her career forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, with her career and her successes came the lifelong battles with drama.
Absolutely.
And drugs.
And
the televised court proceedings.
Mm-hmm. So, Mark, I know you're pretty savvy with the legally stuff. So, what exactly happened after her husband, what's his name?
J. Howard Marshall.
Mr. Marshall.
Mr. Marshall.
I always get confused. Is the J, because we've got Howard K. Stern.
Yep.
And then we have J. Howard.
Yeah.
Well, you also have J. Edgar Hoover, who was the president of the United States.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure.
And then you have the Howard Johnson's Hotel.
Oh God, Johnson and Johnson, and oh God, all these Johnsons.
I got my Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
You did. We're out.
And I'm alive to tell the story. So
Wrong
any of
button.
you anti-vaxxers out there, I'm alive, I'm well,
That's right.
and I'm walking.
And she's walking and she's here talking to you. So with the whole court situation, so basically what had happened after J. Howard Marshall died, was that there were no like written provisions for Anna Nicole in his will, but she was legally his wife. So, it started out with the initial step was like arguing how he was going to be buried or cremated. And that was like the first legal, mishmash they had going on. But then later on, when it came to his estate, I think he was estimated at almost $800 million that he had to his name. So basically, she had to then fight for it because J. Howard Marshall had a older kid who was like, my dad married a stripper and she's not getting a dime of this. So that's where all the legal battles came into play. And she then in turn had to fight for, any kind of money. And to not bore you with an entire thing because we're trying to streamline this for all of you. Basically, Anna Nicole had to deal with this case in two states, California and Texas, where J. Howard Marshall lived and his family. And that's where Anna Nicole was originally from, Texas. So California awarded Anna Nicole like $400 million from the estate. And everybody's like, yay, awesome, cool. However, in Texas, she was awarded nothing. So she still had to go through the legal battle in Texas. So she had to basically win.
So it was the same thing, but in two different states.
Exactly. So she had to go through the same process in Texas, which is where, it all kind of was a different territory and different playing field. So yeah, that's kind of where all of that stood.
It became like a lifelong battle to the day that she died.
It did. It became a lifelong battle. Anna Nicole, up until the day she died, was never awarded anything. And I believe that later on it was, I guess, finalized that she wasn't, her estate after she had passed was getting nothing.
Correct.
So basically she won nothing in life and death.
That's awful.
I know. And I mean, ultimately.
What year was this court case?
It had to have been like the mid 90s.
Okay, because I remember watching the televised, like after she died, the custody battle.
Yes.
Which we will get into.
Absolutely.
I remember watching that in Philly years ago when
Philadelphia.
you and I went out for a night on the town.
We did.
Yeah, so this whole money fight became a lifelong battle, and it put her in kind of like dire straits financially, and she had to like reinvent herself.
Is that why she did the reality show?
Yes. That's why she did the Anna Nicole Smith show, but also leading up to the show, she gained a ton of weight. She couldn't be a model anymore. She was like overweight. She was broke. She was a hot mess, and she was like, well, damn, I have like to pay for all these like legal
But I think
fees.
that's what everyone loved her for. It was like just the hot mess that she was. And she embraced it too on the show.
She did. And, you know, her on that show.
Clearly she was like on some...
Yeah, she was like highly intoxicated.
Intoxicated on like, I don't know what pills she was on, but...
Laundry list, according to the autopsy report we pulled up.
That autopsy that you shared with me.
Yeah. I know.
Some of the medication that I take was in her system. I'm a little scared now.
I know you don't have like 9 other pills to go
No,
with
I do
those.
not.
One. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will even distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. I mean, how cool is that, right? It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. On with the show. Or 2, if anything.
The rest of them are all herbal medication.
There you go.
There you go. But no,
Wrong
I
button.
do like I vividly remember the show, and like I said, it was like one of the first exposures that I had to reality television, because I think I was like too old to kind of comprehend what the fuck was going on like the real world at the time.
Yeah, and that was very involved, so I got
That was very involved. I'll never forget, like, the one thing, and I was telling you earlier before we started recording this, was the one scene or like the one episode that just sits with me always is when they're looking at homes and she's like sprawled out like in the bathtub.
She's like,
oh, pink,
all the
pink, all the pink.
I know.
I like when what is it that she says? She's like, kill me or something.
Yes,
Hold on. Should we play a clip for everybody?
I think we should.
Okay, hold
Can we
on.
find that actual clip of her just like sprawled out in the fucking tub?
Yes, absolutely.
My favorite Anna Nicole Smith episode is like she hosts this Christmas party at her house. And she has like a lot of like, you know, B-rate celebrities like Kathy Griffin and I think like Chyna from WWF.
Isn't she
Also dead?
She's dead, yeah. Margaret Cho. And everyone was just like completely plastered. And she had her like cousin Shelly, who is a very questionable individual.
Oh, yeah.
And Shelly is just like a hot mess and her teeth are out. And she is literally like running around the mansion singing Christmas songs. And
yeah, I mean,
it's so funny.
I know that was a very salacious episode because that was like an example of like a family member who was trying to just like cash in on her, and that storyline played out on the show.
But when you watch this show now in hindsight, it's like kind of dark and it's sad. It's like you want to laugh because she's such a character and silly, but then you're watching like someone's life decline while she's being exploited for that.
Yeah, it was a very sad element because, you know, as we all came to find out later on after her, you know, passing, it was she had a lot of people who encouraged her behavior, who kind of like were actively keeping her in that state as well, which we'll get into later. Howard K. Stern.
Like her lawyer.
Yeah. But here's the clip that we were going to play for you from the Anna Nicole show. And this episode was house hunting.
It's the first episode, too.
Yeah. She's on a bed right now.
Yeah. That's okay. I like dirty stuff.
She's in the tub now.
Isn't there a video of you doing something like
I don't know if you can necessarily understand what she's even saying, because she's
No.
slurring her words.
If there were a caption, it would be inaudible.
One for me.
Well, we still got more to look at, so.
No, I filmed mine.
This is the one you like, right?
You gonna be nice?
Anytime for her.
This is what.
Kind of a. We'll see. Okay. You gotta help us out here.
All right, don't
She
worry.
hasn't collected yet.
Oh yeah, she's.
So this is
Soon,
from her work.
but not yet.
And that's her lawyer speaking on her behalf, saying that she hasn't collected yet, referencing her court battle.
And that poor realtor is like, well, fuck, I'm not getting a sale right now.
Exactly.
I know that.
Is there anywhere, if any of our listeners want to watch the show, probably go on YouTube, right?
Yeah, if anyone...
Because aren't there full episodes on YouTube?
There are. And they might be like broken up into segments depending on how long it is, but you can find a variety of them on YouTube, definitely.
So yeah, so like that's pretty much like the reality show in a nutshell. It lasted 2 seasons. It was kind of successful, but kind of not.
Yeah.
It was good. I remember watching it.
Yeah.
So after that, after her reality series, this is like where her life kind of takes like a darker turn.
Yeah.
So she's still like dealing with all like the legal stuff and not like stable income. So she, I guess, signs a deal to be a spokesperson for Trim Spa.
Trim Spa,
baby. And I don't know if it's like a weight loss pill.
Yeah, it was
it a
basically
pill?
it was basically like a fen or like any of those like 90s diet pills. It was one of those.
So she signs up, she becomes like the spokesperson, and I think she loses like 70 pounds.
Yeah.
From Trim Spa. And she like, you know, I don't know if she got a facelift or anything, but she was like looking more like her younger self, and she was about to have a comeback.
And she kind of like sounded and like looked sober for a minute.
For a whole minute.
A whole day.
Whole ass minute.
And there's like one moment that's like really, you know, famous. I think she was like what was she, presenting the Grammys? She was presenting an award at a music show
for Kanye West.
So she presents this award, and she's just like, oh, make me beautiful duets.
Yeah.
And just like, she's a hot ass mess.
Do we need another clip for this?
I think so.
Okay.
Because this is kind of an iconic moment too that I feel like a lot of people forget about.
Absolutely. All right. So the clip that we were telling you about, Anna Nicole at the award show. You ready?
Like my body?
That's the Trim Spa slogan.
I was honored to be on our next performer's new video. And if I ever record an album, I want this guy to produce mine. Make me
Oh, poor thing.
beautiful duets. Cause he's freaking genius!
Oh, so
Now she's like clapping up in the air all slow.
Yeah, slow motion clapping.
Slow motion clapping, and
I
everyone's
forgot she
cheering.
was in his music video.
I like how they
I'd
put
just
on
like
the
to
music.
also note, though, that was the time where Kanye's music was still very good. That's the Kanye
That's when
West.
Anna Nicole was involved.
Exactly. That's the Kanye West that I missed. That's the Kanye West who I fell in love with.
But
okay.
but do you love how they Academy Awards her and they put on the music,
They
and she was
did.
they were like, get her off
They
the
did.
stage. Poor thing.
So yeah, I mean, like that's an iconic moment for
Yes,
her
and-
trim spa days.
Yeah, and let me just like full circle this briefly to say, but that's a prime example of no one looking out for this woman.
No.
Is that they were like, basically everyone was like, get Anna Nicole. She's a fucking train wreck. Let's do this. People are going to be talking about it forever, you know? And that was just like another example of like kind of pimping her out in a way, you know?
Yeah.
If she didn't act that way, would she have made money?
Right.
You know? It's like at that point she was making money off of being this like outlandish, you know, type of character. Yeah. I wonder if Trim Spa still exists, or if they were like, I don't know, got so many lawsuits they had to close.
So shortly after this whole trim spa moment, she finds out that she is preggers.
Oh, Danny Lynn.
Danny Lynn.
So she's like, she finds out that she's pregnant, and just side note, she always wanted to have like a little girl.
Yes.
That was like her thing. And I think, you know, because she wanted to give her the life that Anna Nicole Smith couldn't really have growing up.
Yeah.
So this is where things get really weird and dark. So around the time, I don't know how many months pregnant she was, probably like 7 months, 8 months, because she had like the pregnant hump belly thing
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, she was showing, as they say.
She was showing. But there was a video that kind of circulated on the news, and she is out of her mind. Like, I don't know if she's drunk or high or on
Or both.
or all of the above. And she's like at a pool with her lawyer, Howard Stern.
Yes.
Howard K. Stern.
Yes, not the
Not the
radio personality.
person. So she's with Howard K. Stern. She's warped out of her mind. She's wearing like this like orange draped like
Something, you know, something a 30-year-old woman would wear to a pool.
and she's with like a little girl that's like, I don't know, like 9. I don't know who this little girl was
I think
in relationship.
I think she was like a neighbor in the Bahamas, like one of their kids or something.
Okay. Oh, that's right. She's in the Bahamas.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's something important that we need to know.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she was living in the Bahamas. She was pregnant, and basically she's out of her mind at a poolside. She's being recorded, and this little girl puts like clown makeup on her, but it looks like John Wayne Gacy clown makeup.
Yeah, it's very, I mean,
You can actually Google it and it comes up.
yeah, you can find the video, you can find photos, because also in relation to Howard K. Stern, he recorded everything to sell and to profit off of. I mean, for her interest, but also his. So,
In our opinion.
in our opinion, yeah.
So, so this video like circulates, makes it to the news. They're like, "Oh my God, she's pregnant! Like, how could she do this? She's having like another decline." But what's really weird in that video is, aside from like the John Wayne Gacy clown makeup, she has like a doll, like a baby doll with batteries, and she's like carrying it around, thinking that it's her actual child or her daughter.
Yeah, yeah. And isn't there like commentary in the video? It may have been Howard or somebody
He was
else.
like, "This video is gonna sell it for a lot of money or something."
Yeah. And also they were like, that's not a real baby, Anna.
That's the little girl. She was like, "There's batteries. It's not a baby."
The little girl knew better.
Get this. I saw something. I don't know if it was on 2020, but they interviewed the girl, and now she's like, you know, a grown up. And she was saying, she was like, yeah, I was like really scared and I was concerned for Anna Nicole. And then she brings out the doll, and she still has that doll till this day.
That's creepy.
I want that doll.
I do too. That doll is probably worth a lot of money.
Actually, my uncle who's listening will appreciate this. So when we were cleaning out, speaking of dolls, this is like such a side note. Too bad I got rid of it, because this is something we could have given as a gift on Bazaar Buffet.
Oh no.
But my grandma, the biggest hoarder, one year gave me a gift. It was a doll with like, she was able to like get my face scanned on the face of the doll.
You threw this away, Jennifer
No,
Wilson.
this was like years before we knew Bazaar Buffet was going to be Bazaar Buffet.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm listening.
But yeah.
Wow.
Treasure.
All right, go back to the baby doll.
Like the baby doll, it just still exists, and for like weirdos like us that like to collect these sort of things, like I would love to have that baby doll.
Maybe one day it'll go up on eBay.
I know.
One can hope.
One can.
So she's pregnant in the Bahamas, and that's where she's living. And
do we know why the Bahamas?
She like.
What was the house story?
Well,
part of the reason
she got like a mansion in the Bahamas, and I think part of the reason was that she wanted to have the baby in the Bahamas, and she wanted to live there because there was a lot of things in America happening where multiple people were saying, "I'm the baby's father. I'm the baby's father." So if she were to live outside the country, all of these men in the United States saying that they're the father, they don't. Like they can't go to court because she lives in the Bahamas.
Yeah, well, there was a handful of men who were coming out and saying they possibly were the father.
Wasn't there like a prince or somebody too?
There was a prince. I believe there wasn't our friend Howard K. Stern one of them too?
Yeah, he said on television that he was the father. I believe on Larry King in an unrelated episode to what we played.
The whole fucking custody thing is...
Yeah.
Which we're going to get into.
Yeah.
But I remember there were like multiple men coming out saying that they were the father.
Yes. And I think there was a lot of motivation behind that, which I don't know if we should get into that at this moment or not.
Well, I mean, obviously it would be money, right? They all, if they're the biological father of her child, then if she gets the $400 million, then they are entitled to a part of it.
Exactly.
So during the Bahamas, there's all this legal things going on, and then boom, she pops the baby out, right?
Yeah.
But I know. This is where it gets sad.
It gets like, I feel for her because like in her life, she has a happy moment and then like a really fucking sad moment.
I know. Well, in the interim, her son, Daniel, he was still living in LA.
But he came to visit her.
Yes, he came to visit her when she was giving birth to Danny Lynn. Now, Daniel stayed away. I think this is important for the topic. He stayed away from Anna Nicole basically because of the people involved in her life. You know, it's been said that he did not like the people who, you know, basically inserted themselves in her life and that she was surrounded with. So he stayed in LA with a friend of hers. And then when he came to the Bahamas, that was when she was giving birth.
So when he went to go visit her, I think like the day after she gave birth, while she was in the hospital bed, he died in the hospital room
in
with
the
her,
chair next
in the
to
chair
her.
from a drug overdose. So it's really sad because Anna Nicole wakes up in the morning and she sees him in the chair, and she was
I actually
trying to.
I actually think he was physically in her bed, in her hospital bed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what the 2020 episode said.
I thought it was the chair.
I did too.
I've heard both.
Yeah.
What I heard is that she saw him slumped over in the chair, and then she dragged him onto the bed to resuscitate him. But I mean, I wasn't there, obviously.
Well, either way, it's fucking awful.
Yeah.
So.
And then that's how Danny Lynn became Danny Lynn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after that, he was buried in the Bahamas. And from that, she obviously slipped into a downward spiral of depression, like I think any normal person would.
Yeah, of course.
She was only alive for a few more months after this. And eventually she gets evicted and kicked out of her mansion in the Bahamas because she like owed, I think, like $900 million or $900,000.
Oh, God.
900 million. Yeah. She owed like $1 million basically. And she was being sued for it. So she was evicted, and she had to move to like, I think like this Hard Rock hotel in Hollywood, Florida.
Hollywood, Florida.
So now it's like, okay,
I've been to it. It's weird.
Her like career is like obviously on the decline. She lost her son. She just gave birth to her daughter.
Yeah, she's a new mom.
So I'm sure like PTSD plays a big part in all of this too.
Yeah. And then she's still battling the legal stuff, right? For her dead husband's fortune. And then also she's battling these guys that are like, I'm the dad. So there's just like a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
And a lot of pills going on too.
Yeah. Which was already in effect. So you can imagine that, you know, somebody who's more inclined maybe to addiction or abuse of any kind, that in a 90 million times more stressful situation that you're probably not going to lessen the amount of things that you're using to cope.
Yeah.
One would assume.
Well, so on February 8th, 2007, Anna Nicole Smith was found dead in room 607 at the Hard Rock Hotel Casino in Hollywood, Florida. She had died of a drug overdose, and it was ruled an accident. So now that she's dead, there was a lot of drama that happened after her death.
Yes.
That famous televised court case.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When
With Howard K. Stern.
Howard K. Stern front and center. And so the initial court proceeding, I guess you would say, was Howard K. Stern fighting for Anna Nicole to be buried in the Bahamas, but her estranged mother from Texas was arguing that she wanted her daughter, Anna Nicole, to be buried in Texas in, I don't know, the family plot or whatever you would, say. But, that was a whole thing. You should definitely look that up because the judge gets very emotional and basically rules in favor of what her lawyer, Howard K. Stern, was there to argue, being that he wanted her buried in the Bahamas with her son, Daniel.
Mm-hmm. And her mom that showed up out of nowhere, out of the woodwork. It was weird because at Anna Nicole Smith's funeral, when they start to pour the dirt on the coffin, she takes a shovel and she just does 50 shovelfuls of dirt onto the coffin. Now, some people are that's her way of saying no, this is my daughter and I'm going to bury her. And then other people are just thinking it was very spiteful.
Yeah. You can also find this footage on YouTube. Visually, it looks as though she's kind of fuck you. That's the vibe I get. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily buy the other theory of her oh, I'm gonna, but who knows? I can't speak for anybody.
It's a bizarre video to watch.
It's really,
it's on brand with Bizarre Buffet.
It is.
And another little bizarre fact is that while the court case was happening as to where to put her body, apparently her body was disintegrating or decomposing at a very rapid rate.
Yeah, Mark told me this in the car the other day, and I was
that became an issue. But I don't know. Is it because it's the Bahamas and it's hot?
I don't know. Or it could. Does it have something to do with having a drug overdose?
That's another thing.
I think maybe, and don't quote me on this, everybody, but it could be because of the things in her system. Maybe.
That's what I was.
Yeah. Like what you're thinking. They kind of contributed to it. Plus a warm climate. I don't know what refrigeration is like at the morgues in the Bahamas. I'm not an expert.
I don't know, but I was there once, not in the morgues, but in the Bahamas.
Okay. It's what were they like?
It was very hot.
It was very hot.
So Mark, with now that we have the whole Anna Nicole Smith history, in front of us, what do you think happened with her death? Because I know you have a strong opinion.
I do.
A whole theory.
I do. I mean, basically, I think there was foul play involved. Now, obviously, I cannot confirm. Nobody can. But her lawyer, Howard K. Stern, when they went through her room and found all of the things that she was prescribed, there were some things in her name. There were a lot of things that weren't in her name, prescribed to somebody else.
Was it him?
Yeah. His name was on a lot of the prescriptions. And then there was a doctor involved who was basically kind of like the doctor that Michael Jackson had, who would just kind of you're famous, you're a celebrity, I'll write you whatever, we're friends. So she came to the Bahamas and she had written a prescription in someone's name that wasn't Anna Nicole's name or Howard. It was a random one. So falsifying, a prescription. So, with seeing all of the medications, a legal issue came up later, and Howard K. Stern, as well as her doctor, Dr. Rosevich, she was also on trial for wrongful death suit, I believe, for Anna. They were both basically given a slap on the wrist. Howard K. Stern essentially had no, like, legal ramifications. And the doctor, I believe, was charged with a very minor charge in relation. So there was a little bit, but what I find to be odd is that I know for her son, Daniel, Anna Nicole's son, when they found him, they did the autopsy later on. He was known to take 2 medications. Basically, I think one was for depression or bipolar, like very common medications. But then there was another one in his system, which was basically used for people who had heroin withdrawal.
Okay.
Now, granted, people get, random medications all the time, whether they need them or not. That's part of like drug abuse or whatever you would want to call it. But it was a little odd that timing was so convenient because, if he had taken this thing all the time or, whether he was prescribed or not, it just seemed as though it was odd timing.
Yeah.
For him to die in the Bahamas at this point in time when his mother was on already what was pretty much a more rapid decline before he died, right?
Mm-hmm. And do you think he got those drugs from Howard?
I think it was definitely a possibility that he did. Or, I mean, listen, now this is clearly salacious and speculation. I think it's a possibility that he could have been poisoned.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I think.
But now my question is to you, like, what do you think all of Howard's motives were behind all of this? If he did do.
So here, I thank you for
this.
asking, because this is part of where my theory ties in. So, you know how we were talking earlier about going to the Bahamas and how Mark was saying about all of these dads or quote unquote dads who were like,
right.
I'm the father, I'm the father. So in the Bahamas, Howard Stern was on the birth certificate as the father, and Anna Nicole, the mother, obviously. But something with the laws there in the Bahamas, it becomes extremely difficult and challenging to essentially challenge someone who you think you're like, oh no, you're not the father.
Right.
That type of deal. So him being on the birth certificate, he is a lawyer. He has a knowledge of these things, so there you go. On paper, he's the dad. So if Anna Nicole dies, he's the legal guardian. She has no other child. She's gone. Whatever Danny Lynn is to inherit, whether it be Anna Nicole's personal, estate, which was estimated at $700,000, or, the extra possibility of the $400 million, Howard Stern would in turn be, the person who would benefit, So I think that's where a lot of the motivations would lie, for sure. He would stand to inherit a fuck ton of money.
And I think for him being the lawyer and living with Anna, keeping her in that kind of state of mind kind of gave him more control over her to manipulate situations to kind of work in his favor for his motives.
Absolutely. I remember when the Anna Nicole show was on and everybody, the kind of like running thing was, why the fuck does her lawyer live with her?
Exactly.
It's weird. She probably promised him a certain percentage of that 400. So for him, I mean, you can kind of argue that he would have wanted to keep her alive because he wanted to get some kind of payment at the end of all of this. But I don't know.
Well, maybe her death it could have been a suicide.
It could have been. Have you ever heard of lawyers who kind of take advantage of, like, say, for example, senior citizens who are really well off but don't have any living family left and they're pretty much by themselves?
Yeah.
And they pretty much go and they will go to court and fight to say that this person is not mentally capable of being able to handle their own finances.
Yeah.
And they pretty much scam the system.
Yeah.
To become, have guardianship.
Yeah, it's kind of like Britney Spears and
Exactly.
her dad.
And I kind of wonder if like a lot of this is what Howard was doing as well. And that was really his motive behind all of this.
Yeah, I mean,
because like the thing that is it's such a shame because I feel like her persona, she always played kind of like not the most intelligent.
Yeah.
Was she always high when they were filming? I don't know. Was she
maybe
was it
not.
like just her putting on an act? But I feel like that just kind of was like a red flag saying like, take advantage of me.
Yeah.
I'm not stable.
Yeah.
Well, then it's so sad because the night before her death, I don't know if it was like, one of the maids or someone that was affiliated with Anna, but they said that they heard her talking to her son as if he was alive.
Oh.
And she said, "Don't worry, honey, mommy's going to be with you soon."
Oh, God.
I know. It's awful.
It's so sad. What a bummer.
I know. And also another sad fact too. I mean, because I like to talk about morbid facts. At the son's funeral, this is really sad. A lot of people would, if they ever say that Anna Nicole Smith was a bad mom or didn't love her son Daniel, at the funeral she had asked if they could open the coffin, right before putting him in the ground. When they opened the coffin, she tried to climb in, and she demanded that she be buried with her son.
Oh, my dad used to call them box jumpers.
It's a
thing. Like,
I understand.
Where like people like apparently when my grandmother passed away, my one uncle was like doing the same fucking shit before they because my grandma, when they had the wake, they didn't show her. They didn't do like a public viewing. It was private with the immediate family. And my uncle Anthony apparently like tried to throw himself in the coffin. So then my dad got the name fucking box jumpers. Which is usually like the one usually like now he'll be like, I go to a wake or a funeral and he's like, so which one was the box jumper?
I listen, credit where it's due. That is a fantastic title. Right? That is, but no, I think, if anyone, listening who maybe hasn't seen the show, I think it's very apparent in the Anna Nicole show itself that she was like in love with that child. She did everything that she could like as a person for him,
and if you haven't watched the show, like just
please
go
do.
on YouTube and just at least like watch a snippet or
form your own opinion.
An episode, even like I feel like because you'll see like the characters on that show are just very questionable.
Very questionable.
Absolutely. Most of them. It makes Anna Nicole look the least questionable.
And you're kind of like, why are they all associating, or why is she associating with them and vice versa? It's like, let's put every eclectic person you can imagine in a room together.
Yeah. Which I mean, in theory is fine, but they all just seemed like they were
slimy.
Slimy. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it. They all seemed like slimy, sleazy characters. Like they weren't actually there for her in a genuine sense.
But I do, like, when I look back on it, though, I do feel like Howard was, like, infatuated with her.
Yes.
I don't know, like, and I even remember before all of this shit went down with, like, the court case and the custody battle, which, by the way, he did not win. And Danny Lynn is now with the father who, if you see them side by side, they're a spitting image of each other.
Larry Burkhead, right?
Yes. And I don't know. I just always remember thinking like he was in love with her, but she didn't really give a fuck about him.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. She had a lot of these kind of abstract relationships.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it's like, who wasn't in love with Anna Nicole Smith?
Everyone was.
She had a girlfriend who was like a motherly figure for her, little girlfriend, while she was with the millionaire, the billionaire.
She was an older woman who was the antithesis of J. Howard Marshall. She did not have money at all.
And then there was also I heard that she and her assistant Kimmy that was on the show with her.
Did they have a thing?
Had a thing? I heard somewhere or read. It could have been like Reddit.
Well, one of the ongoing kind of, or the running jokes as the Anna Nicole show was on, was that Kimmy was in love with her because she was always kind of like this fawning, like, Anna, anything you need, Anna, like kind of like wide-eyed, like odd relationship once again.
And then Anna Nicole Smith also had a sexual encounter with a spirit and a ghost.
Wow. When did this happen?
This happened when she was married.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was it Jay Howard?
I don't know.
After his passing?
But she said that she used to feel like she was having sex with someone in her sleep, and she thought it was her boyfriend or a guy that she was seeing. And then the one time it happened again, and she turned around and no one was in the bed with her, and she just accepted the fact that it was a spirit. And she said, I didn't care. It was good sex.
Wow.
She was a real gem of an individual. You know,
she also lived in Marilyn Monroe's house for a hot minute.
She did.
Where I think it was the house where Marilyn Monroe was found
She
dead
died
from a
in.
drug overdose, which is weird because there's a parallel. But anywho, she said that house was haunted by Marilyn Monroe.
I would not be surprised.
So does that conclude our
I think so.
Anna Nicole Smith tragedy?
I suppose it does. What a fascinating story, and a sad one, and, you know, on brand with what we do here.
Well, if you guys want to follow us in our fame,
in our endeavors, baby.
We have an Instagram account, so follow us on Instagram at Bizarre Buffet.
Yes, and on Facebook, it is Bizarre Buffet Podcast. And, oh God, if you want to open your wallets like the televangelists that I know you all are. No, that's the opposite. Anyway.
Dig deep in your pockets.
Dig
and
deep in your
donate
pockets
to the
now.
Patreon for Bizarre Buffet Podcast.
That's right. Open your hearts and your soul holes. I suppose that's it. With that being said, who are you tonight?
My name is Bart Simpson.
Oh, Bart Simpson. I like it. And who's this to my right?
I'm Jenny Craig.
Jenny Craig. Oh my God. And my name is J. Howard Marshall.
Oh.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Don't have a cow.
Don't have a cow. Marry rich. Make sure he has a pulse. Goodbye.
Trim Spa's $1 Million Makeover Challenge.
Want a Viper? Want some money? Want to play?
Win a chance to party at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino.
Like my body?
Then get dieting, exercising, and Trim Spa X32 and enter the $1 Million Makeover Challenge.
Trim Spa, baby.